Hey guys, we promised you yesterday during the live stream that we would have our compost video out tonight, and we've been having technology issues all day long. So we're gonna make a quick pivot until we can get that worked out, and hopefully we'll have the compost video ready for you next Saturday. In the meantime, we have some ideas that we've been wanting to discuss about our south garden. So we're gonna go out there right now. It is what's the temperature right now? 14 degrees here in northeastern Oklahoma. So we are bundled up and we wanted to record this here in the warmth of the house before we go out there because it is super cold. So now we're going to head outside and show you guys some plans of what we want to do in our south garden. Now, some of this, Art has some ideas, I have some ideas that we have not even talked to each other about. So you're about to join us for that conversation as we kind of talk about it and figure out what direction we want to go this spring. We are going to walk through the garden. We did some cleanup last weekend that you'll see in that next video, but I do want to show you some of our winter crops that are going right now that we've got cold frames on, so I want to do a little look at those real quick. Here are the cabbages that are in the cold frame right now. And there's the one that I didn't put in the cold frame just as a test. So you can tell how much better they're doing in the cold frame. And then just a quick look at some of the cleanup we did this past weekend. It's looking so much better out here. And you'll see the rest of that in next weekend's video. But we did top up some of these beds with some finished compost. We've got a pea plant over here that's just really struggling, but it never did put any peas out, which I'm really disappointed about. Over here, I do want to talk about this. I'll show some previous year's videos, but we kind of changed our layout this past year with our bridge. And the reason is because we were trying to build this little pond over here, and then we got busy working on other things and we never actually got to finish this. This is something that I know both of us want to finish at some point. Man, it is cold out here.
It just needs a liner properly lined up and water.
Yeah. The reason why we were even doing that to begin with is because we tend to have a lot of flooding right in that area anyway. So we thought doing a little pond would help mitigate that issue a little bit. But anyway, I want to do something different with the bridge just because it used to stand out and be like a really nice little focal point, and now it just kind of feels like it gets lost. Don't you think? Do you think it gets lost in the...
I don't know, actually. I mean, we put it there for a reason, but we can relocate it, of course. And
you think it still looks good there?
Just have to play with the spring and see how it looks.
Yeah. When all the plants are growing and everything, it just seems, I feel like...
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you don't see the bridge as much anymore as
maybe it could be a walkway between that garden and this garden somehow.
Maybe so. Okay, let's get down here to our south garden though. This is the side that we're not completely done cleaning up yet. It's cold. Okay, so one thing, so Art, you remember you built this tomato trellis here 2 years ago. And then last year I tried to put in a new trellis over here for tomatoes. And then that's when we discovered that mama duck over there. And so me and Elijah were trying to build this thing in the rain without disturbing her. And she was getting very nervous because she was on her nest. And so anyway, let me back up and show how wonky this thing is. You can tell it didn't turn out very straight because we were in a hurry. Elijah wasn't cooperating anyway, as teenage boys often do when their moms ask them for a favor. So anyway, so that is why that looks like that. So Art, my question to you was if you would just take this one down and then repurpose this top piece, because what I did was I drove in these pieces.
Right.
And not very well because I was falling off the ladder in the rain and trying not to squash the mama duck. Can we just take these out, but then reuse your top piece that you had made, and we can either put it back over here, or another thought that I have, that's what I want to run by you. Okay, so down here, and that's where we could use you guys' opinion on this. please ignore our mess. This is our very messy corner down here. But we got this free cattle panel right here that was left over after the construction at my parents' house. And it is a 16-foot, right?
Yes.
Okay. Instead of, because we do have the archways in multiple places like this one. But what I was thinking about doing, because we always need vertical growing space. So one thing I was thinking about doing is here, because this is, I can't remember if these are 8 or 10-foot beds.
8, yeah, maybe 8
Is
to 10.
Is it 8? Okay. So what I was thinking was possibly taking out this middle board and then doing some T-posts from that end to that end in the center, kind of like this is. And then just don't put it all the way down, but have it maybe this high up, take it up, because it's sturdy.
Like a strong panel, one strong
panel that would run in the center of the bed, but it would go all the way down. What do you think?
Yeah, I could cut slits right into this, just enough to where it's fit in the middle of the wood, and that would stabilize it.
Oh, okay. Instead of taking that wood completely, I was thinking just taking. Let me show what I'm putting to.
Yeah, just
this
take
piece out completely.
Yeah, and just make it one long bed. Yeah, that would work.
And then, because then I could grow different vining things up that, but then in front, either right here and on the other side, I can grow smaller plants. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I feel like it would allow me to utilize more space here. Let me back up and show that. So basically what I'm thinking is T-post in the center of that far end, a T-post here, and a T-post down here, and then running that panel sideways instead of making an archway. Just going sideways all the way down.
Right. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I think so too.
It would almost separate the beds, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so that's one idea. Another thing we've been thinking about doing is doing some of the metal raised beds. I know Vigo Garden and Birdie's are like the top 2 brands. We could do like a Vigo Garden raised bed and a Birdie's raised bed and just do a side-by-side comparison and try those out over in this long, narrow area. Just kind of expand the garden that way. So that was one thought. And then another thought back here behind me, I'll go down there here in a second. We've been wanting to do a greenhouse, but we need some suggestions because we like to not spend money at all. Neither one of us.
Not necessarily, but I mean, we're frugal.
Yeah, very. Yeah, so we want to DIY it as much as we can without it looking horrible. Of course, we have an HOA, so we got to make it presentable, of course. One thing that we would like to do, if we do a greenhouse over here, that door right there goes into the 3rd car garage. If we did a greenhouse here, we'd like it to have a door on both sides so that the greenhouse could be the pass-through from the garden into the garage, or that gate right there goes into the front yard. So that way we could just walk through the greenhouse to get to either the garage or the front yard, either one. One thing we also want to redo is we want to get rid of these plastic panel. We'd like to do a DIY of like the metal posts, like black metal posts with the wood, the horizontal slats. That's what we would like to do to hide the AC unit. So that is one project you will definitely see this spring sometime. But over here, let me get a better view around here. I thought we could do another load of gravel, pull up these landscape timbers, and just kind of gravel off more of this and clean this whole area up. Let me kind of show. So it's hard because the sun is right shining on everything right now. This area, if we did we have more than enough space for like a 10x8. I measured it last weekend to see. There's actually, I thought we'd have to do like a 6x8, but there's actually plenty of space for a 10x8 greenhouse. There's actually enough space for a 10x8 and still have enough space on both sides to walk around if we needed to. And then we have pallets, and that was the thing I was going to bring up to Art. We have pallets at my dad's shop that he said that we could have. Remember that there's flagstone up there and a pallet of bricks. So I was thinking we could do the flagstone either inside the greenhouse or around the outside of the greenhouse, or we could do the bricks as the floor in the greenhouse, something. Anyway, we've got lots of possibilities. So if
want to make sure it's stable.
Yes, for sure, because we get a lot of wind out here. And this south garden, because you can tell it's like a breezeway, because it's almost just like an alley. So we get tons of wind right here, especially in this part of the yard. If anybody has any tips or suggestions of how we could DIY it for
in the amount of space that we have. Right?
Yes, yeah, a very affordable way to do that, whether we use acrylic panels or whatever. I was thinking
heavy sheets of plastic. I mean, what they use industrial grade for the greenhouses or whatnot.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been looking at bases, like even if we bought a kit, like we could always put down like landscape timbers as like the base frame and then bolt it, like use the spikes like we used down here, because that's like a 12-inch spike to hold the landscape timber into the ground, and then build the base off of the landscape timber and then kind of build it up from there. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then fill gravel all around it. That way it would eliminate having to mow over here, because we're going to have so much going on back here. I just don't want to have to hassle with bringing the lawnmower back here or anything.
Yes, too many obstacles.
Yes, for sure. So you want to get inside? Yeah.
Pretty soon.
So we will go back inside and finish this. Okay, guys, that was it for our garden tour today and kind of bringing you along on what our plans are for the spring. Please drop us a comment and let us know what you think, especially if you have any suggestions for the greenhouse and all of that stuff. So anyway, we thank you for watching tonight. And
don't worry about going a second mile tonight. It's a little too cold for that. So
yes, you have our permission to take the second mile off. So anyway, have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Good night.